The development of video games takes years and years. Take a look at Cyberpunk, for example. That game was in development for 9 years and there still were problems upon release. Hytale is no exception to long development too. The game has been in development since around April of 2015 and now it's currently January 2021. The game has been in development for 6 years now and a lot has changed since the early stages. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at the early stages of Hytale's development and comparing the knowledge of back then to what we have now. So with all that being said, everybody, my name is CanadianFlash and enjoy the video. Hey everybody, what is going on? CanadianFlash here, guys, and today everybody, I'm going to be talking about the development evolution of Hytale by looking back at some of the screenshots that the team released in the EGX conference last year. Last year, Hytale was live at the EGX conference, and they showed us quite a few old images of the game that have never been seen before, and I want to compare those to some modern screenshots and videos that we have today that will really show the evolution of how the game has progressed throughout the years. So the first thing that I want to mention is that in 2013 and 2014, with the purchase of MVP Plus on the Hypixel server, select players were able to test an upcoming game for Hypixel Studios. This was announced in the Edge article where the team mentioned that the original plan for Hytale was for it to be a top-down 2D shooter, and I think that we got a glimpse of that top-down 2D shooter in the trailer, except that was probably more polished than what they had back then. I think something around those lines were what the MVP Plus players played, but it probably wasn't like as polished as it was in the trailer, like I just said. So technically the development of Hytale started earlier than 2015, but that was a completely different game at the time, but it was still called Hytale, I think. I believe that the sandbox open world block game version of Hytale started its development in 2015. So now that I've cleared that up, let's go take a look at some of these early images. So the first image is probably one that you've seen mostly, and it is in my thumbnail, so you guys have definitely already seen it, so I want to talk about it first. And this image is a player in third person looking off into the distance in Zone 1. In this image, we see some pretty basic world generation with some like large trees, sunflowers, a river, a cool sky. It's very basic at the moment, but honestly, it still looks better than Minecraft, which is pretty sad. And if you compare this image to a similar third-person one that we've seen more recently, you'll be able to notice many improvements. The tall grass was retextured and reformed and it looks great now. The sky has gotten an improvement. Random flowers are added to the ground to make it more realistic. Instead of just like sunflowers, they have more flowers that work with like the area. The grass blocks look more saturated, and overall a lot has been done to improve the overall aesthetic of Zone 1. And I just want to clarify this before everybody says it. These like comparisons between like the old ones and new ones are given like a little pinch of salt because we don't have the exact same biome or everything of each zone, so they might be a little bit different, but I'm trying to find the closest ones that compared to what we've seen from the EGX conference. Another big aspect to Zone 1 that has gotten multiple improvements over the years are the stone circles. It's pretty easy to tell that the team has changed up the circles design a lot like over the years, with this one looking to be the earliest image that we've got. It'll be on the screen, you guys can see it. You can tell that the team are kind of fiddling around with some like glowy block that inside like emits a lot of light, but then later, as you can see in more recent screenshots, it's changed to more of a darker green with more texturizing, has better shadowing, and it has less of a glow. That we see those in some newer screenshots and videos. Also in this image we can see some cool images of like early on crawlers and what looks to be like Hytale's version of Minecraft's endermites. We also see like a small little thing of endermites in this torque battle. It's hiding in the back, but I think it's the same mob, except the eyes are not red, they're white now, so I guess that changed a little bit too, which is kind of cool. I also noticed that in the old image of the stone circles were actually like a circle fully around protecting like the elemental crystal, but now they're kind of like a semicircle and there's like a notable entrance point. I don't know about you guys, but I find that to be super cool and a really big improvement, which really I think improves the stone circles. I think that's a great addition and I think it looks great. These next two images are showcasing some beautiful world generation of Hytale. Once again, these are both in Zone 1. Most of these old images that we've gotten were in Zone 1. I feel like that was just one of their main priorities back in the day to do Zone 1 images, so they just wanted to show off a lot of those because I don't think they had like Zone 2, 3, or 4 that fully up to date yet. So these are probably images from like 2017 or early 18, early 2018 before the trailer dropped, but that's not confirmed. They just look more advanced than the other two screenshots that I showed you guys before. These two images are really cool to look at, and you can tell that they've been playing around with the shadowing and lighting quite a bit. And also these two pics have like the new updated tall grass texture that I mentioned before, which is really cool. So once again, it proves that they're later on in the development of Hytale, obviously. I pulled up this recent image to compare the two because this came from the graphics update blog post, and like I said before, I think the team are really working on shadowing and lighting. So I got those two images, and I feel like this one particular image of this prefab showcases how much progress the team has done with shadowing and lighting, and I think it's a really good comparison between the two. Alright, here is the last image of Zone 1, and this looks to be the Twilight Forest biome. It's not confirmed that that's the biome name, but I'm just calling it that because a lot of people are calling it that, and it sounds right. So I really like this biome, by the way. I don't know, it just seems like super magical to me, and I don't know, I've always liked this like blue. Blue's like my favorite color. The trees are blue. It's super cool. So there's quite a few things to look at in this small image, and like, what are those prefabs in the background? Like, they look fantastic. Like, we've never seen something like them before, and I really want to know what they are. Like, I know it's kind of blurry. It's really hard to see in the screenshot, but this is the best quality image I could have gotten, so I'm sorry if it's bad, but it's the best we can do. So comparing this image to a more recent one, not much has changed besides the shape of the trees and some more plant life that randomly grows. So like, all in all, I guess they haven't done that much work on this biome. Maybe they haven't shown it yet, but either way, it's there's some improvements, which is really cool. Zone 2 looks to have changed a lot from when this image was taken. I feel like this was pretty early on, like really early on, kind of like how the first two images I showed you in Zone 1. So the colors in this old image look kind of too vibrant to be in a desert biome, and I love how they tone it down in like the more modern screenshots that I have on the screen as well. In the older screenshot, we can see a few ores sticking out of the ground, and to me that kind of looks like copper and silver. I'll zoom in on it, but once again, these aren't the best quality images, so let me know what you think. I think they're silver and copper because they're like the copper, like it's a copper color and one of them silver, and I doubt it's going to be iron. Yeah, so that's all I can see pretty much from this main image. There's also some really cool trees in the background. I think we see those also in like modern images too, so I guess they really haven't changed those that much. But now moving on to two of the more modern images. So I chose these two because I wasn't really sure which one really resembles it the most, so I just chose two. So like I said before, the coloring blend in these two are much more appealing to the eye, as it's more like dull and sandy, which is kind of the Zone 2 biome. Zone 2 is supposed to be the desert. It's called the Howling Sands, so you know, dust is blowing everywhere, sand, everything like that. I think it seems really cool. And also I noticed that in these images there's like no ore sticking out from the ground from what we can see in the other image, so I guess they removed that. It's a nice update there because it might be a little bit too easy to get some ores like that. So Zone 2 seems to have gone through a major transformation, and I really like what the team has done with it. I think it looks a lot better than it did before, obviously. Same with all the other zones. I like what they've done, and they continue to improve, which is really awesome. So in 2021, there looks to be so many different biomes in Zone 2, and I cannot wait to explore all of them. And the image like I showed, I couldn't really find a exact replica biome of that one that they have. That kind of just looks like a mesa. That kind of looks like a mesa biome in Minecraft. We don't really have a full-on mesa screenshot in Hytale. And now, moving on to the last of the starter zones, we have Zone 3. This one looks to be the most detailed out of all the screenshots that we've had so far, maybe besides those two color shading ones in Zone 1. And I think this one really resembles the background video that we have in Snowfall, like the little background GIF that kind of plays. I don't know, so I'll use that as the comparison for this. I just think they look kind of similar, how it's like a little dip in the ground and everything. It just looks really cool. So the first thing that I noticed while I look at these two are the spruce and pine trees, how they got a remodel. In the original image, it has them look really thin and they're not that like dense and textured, but now if we take a look at the more modern images, they're wider at the base. They're not just like one straight stick pretty much. They branch out, they're more dense, there's more leaves in there, and that makes them look a lot better. Also, the fog effect looks to have gotten a slight revamp. It looks more dense in the new video, but then that also could be just because it's a video and also in the time of day it's taken. So obviously when it's darker you can see the fog more pretty much, you know how it is. So overall Zone 3 does look quite similar to what it did back in the day, and I feel like most of the major changes to the main three zones are more graphical, for example like shading, lighting, coloring, along with some like ambient changes like updates to foliage to make the world look more full. But either way, they have really changed the main three zones a lot, and I'm super excited to see what other changes they have in the future. And lastly, we have some pretty cool multiplayer screenshots that I have found, and I also found a really cool Easter egg at one of them that I'm sure you guys really want to see. It's nothing game breaking, but I've never seen anybody mention this before, so I kind of want to mention this. So the first screenshot shows what I believe is an early stage of the hypixel server in Hytale. I think this is really early on in development, considering none of the staff members have their different skins or facial expressions. Also, the shadowing of the player is what we've seen in the first image, like the first image where the guy's just standing there with like no clothes on, and it's just a small circle under the player. So I know they updated that recently, so I think that's also another reason why it's pretty early on in development. Also, these players, they have no facial expression. It's just a straight line face. They got all the same hair and everything, so I guess they haven't created the character customization system yet. And lastly, we have an early on image of the video playing theater aspect type block things in Hytale. The players in this picture have skins and costumes now, so this must be a little bit later on in development, maybe like a year or two, who knows. However, whenever I guess when the character customization system is implemented. Also, you see those glowing blocks that look to be in the corners, kind of like the exit signs of a theater, which is pretty cool. Those look to be the same ones that are used in those like original stone circles image, which I find to be like really cool. And okay guys, so you remember when I said that there was an Easter egg that I found that I wanted to show you? Well, here it is. If I zoom in here, you can see Noxy. I think it says Noxy. It says N-O-X. I can't really read the last letter, but I'm pretty sure that's a Y. And he's wearing some really cool armored, like some golden armored cape and some red cool looking golden cape. And if that looks familiar to you, here's why. In this image, which I assume to be Zone 4, we have a clear picture of that player wearing the same golden armor and cape. And that could be Noxy. I mean, he was wearing it before, so why would he take it off and someone else wear it? So I believe Noxy is actually in the screenshot, which is pretty cool. So like I said, it was nothing game breaking. I just found that to be really cool. So yeah, that's the small little Easter egg that I found. I've never seen anybody mention that, so I just wanted to mention it. So guys, that is all I have for today. Let me know down below if I missed anything important about these old screenshots. Let me know what you guys think those prefabs are in like that Twilight Forest thing, 'cause I think it's really cool. It's like super tall and everything. I don't really know what it is, but yeah, let me know what you guys think of the evolution of Hytale so far. Also, if you guys are new here, then please go ahead, hit that subscribe button to see more Hytale content like this. And with all that being said, everybody, I hope you all enjoyed. My name is CanadianFlash, and have a great day.